If you can only play 21 games in your whole life, these are the ones you've got to pick. It could be the story, the world, or just the way they make you feel, but each one deserves its spot. Play them once and they'll stay with you forever. Let's start this list with Days Gone. When this game came out, it got mixed reviews. People complained about bugs, pacing issues, and typical open world content. Some of that was fair at launch, but the game that exists now is fully patched and fully realized. This is one of the most underrated games of the last generation. The open world feels dangerous in a way most games don't. Freakers roam in hordes, hundreds of them, and taking down a horde is one of gaming's most intense experiences. The story takes time to develop, and it's a slow burn. But if you stick with it, the relationship between Deacon and his wife through flashbacks is genuinely moving. The gameplay loop is satisfying with the missions, clear out ambush camps and infestations, help survivors, hunt animals, and upgrade your gear. It's familiar, but it's done well. And the bike combat, shooting while driving through forests and mountains, is exhilarating. Days Gone deserved better than it got. It's not perfect, but it's a game that stayed with me long after I finished it. It's proof that sometimes the most overlooked games can end up being the ones you remember most. Hollow Knight is one of the best Metroidvanias ever made, and it came from a tiny indie team in Australia. The hand-drawn art style is gorgeous. Every area has its own aesthetic, from the lush gardens of Greenpath to the oppressive depths of Deep Nest. The exploration is rewarding. You find new abilities that open up new areas. Secrets are hidden everywhere, and the map system is brilliant. You have to find the cartographer in each area, buy the map, then fill in details as you explore. It makes discovery feel earned. The combat is tight and challenging. Boss fights are tough but fair, and when you finally beat a boss you've been stuck on, it feels amazing. The difficulty is significant, but there are ways to make it easier if you're struggling. The lore is subtle and environmental, nothing is spelled out. You piece together the tragedy of Hollow Knight through item descriptions, NPC dialogue, and environmental clues. It respects your intelligence. For a $15 indie game, Hollow Knight offers 40 to 60 hours of content with multiple endings and tons of secrets. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. Portal is short, sweet, and perfect. You can finish it in a few hours, but it's an experience everyone needs to have. You're a test subject in the Aperture Science Facility, armed with a portal gun. You can shoot 2 portals and travel between them. That's it, that's the mechanic. And Valve built an entire game around it that constantly finds new ways to challenge your spatial thinking. The puzzles start simple and gradually get mind-bending. By the end, you're flinging yourself through portals to build momentum, thinking in 3 dimensions and feeling like a genius when you solve a tough room. But the real star is the AI running the facility. Her passive-aggressive commentary throughout the test chambers is hilarious and sinister. The writing is sharp, dark, and incredibly funny. Portal proves that games don't need to be long to be meaningful. It's focused, creative, and doesn't waste a single moment. If you haven't played Portal, it's available on basically most platforms, and it's a few hours that will stay with you forever. Disco Elysium is unlike anything else on this list. There's no combat. It's a detective RPG where you solve a murder case in a city still recovering from a failed revolution. You're a detective who woke up with complete amnesia after a legendary bender. You don't remember your name, your job, anything. You have to piece yourself back together while solving a murder. The genius is that you build your character through dialogue and choices. Your stats are aspects of your personality, logic, empathy, physical instrument, and electrochemistry. They talk to you, argue with each other, and give you different options in conversations. Your necktie has opinions. Your lizard brain tries to sabotage you. It's absolutely brilliant. The writing is some of the best in gaming history. Every conversation is layered with meaning, humor, and tragedy. The world building is dense and fascinating. Rivachol feels like a real place with real history and real problems. This is a game for people who love reading, thinking, and complex storytelling. It's slow and dialogue heavy, but if you meet it on its terms, it's an absolute masterpiece. Insomniac finally gave us the definitive Spider-Man game. Swinging through Manhattan has never felt this good. The web swinging is perfect. That's the most important thing. It feels fast, fluid, and expressive. You can spend hours just swinging around the city and it never gets boring. The way you build momentum, launch off buildings, and zip between points is pure joy. The story balances Peter Parker's personal life with Spider-Man's heroics beautifully. You genuinely care about his relationship with MJ, his mentor-student dynamic with Miles, and his friendship with Harry. And when things start falling apart, it hits hard. Combat is clearly inspired by the Arkham games, but it has its own identity. It's faster, more aerial, more creative. You use gadgets, the environment, and acrobatic moves to take down enemies. Boss fights against classic villains are highlights. The side content is typical open-world stuff, but it's Spider-Man, so even collecting backpacks is fun because of the nostalgia and references packed into them. If you've ever wanted to just be Spider-Man, this is the game. Control is Remedy Entertainment doing what they do best with weird, atmospheric, mind-bending storytelling wrapped in solid third-person action. The oldest house, the brutalist shifting building you explore, is a character in itself. It's creepy, bizarre, and filled with objects of power that defy physics. The story is told through documents, videos, and environmental storytelling. If you love diving deep into lore, Control has layers upon layers. The way it mixes normal office work with scary supernatural stuff is really smart. Combat is telekinetic chaos. You throw objects, shoot a transforming gun, and dodge through the air. Boss fights are creative and weird. The side content, the altered world events, and hidden areas are some of the best optional content in any game. The oldest house feels as if the SCP Foundation were a playable video game location. If you love stuff like Twin Peaks or X-Files, Control is made for you. Nier Automata is weird, beautiful, depressing, and absolutely unforgettable. Director Yoko Taro created something that uses the video game medium in ways most developers would never attempt. The protagonist is an android soldier fighting machines in a post-apocalyptic Earth. Humans have fled to the moon and you're trying to reclaim the planet. But nothing is what it seems. The machines start exhibiting human behavior. The androids question their orders. Philosophical questions about consciousness, purpose, and existence become central to everything. The gameplay constantly shifts. It's a hack-and-slash action game, then it's a bullet hell shooter, then it's a side-scroller, then it's a text adventure. Yoko Taro uses every trick in the book to tell his story, and it works because it's all purposeful. The music is hauntingly beautiful, some of the best video game music ever composed. And the endings, you need to see all the major endings to get the full story. Ending here is one of the most emotionally powerful moments I've experienced in a game. This is a strange, challenging art that isn't afraid to make you uncomfortable or sad, but it's absolutely worth experiencing. Origins completely reinvented Assassin's Creed when the franchise desperately needed it. Egypt is stunning. Not just the pyramids and deserts, but the cities, the Nile, the hidden tombs. This might be the best historical recreation in gaming. You can explore the Library of Alexandria, climb the lighthouse, and sail up the Nile. It's a history nerd's dream. The combat was completely overhauled. It's hitbox-based now, more like Dark Souls than the old rhythm-based counter system. You need to dodge, block, and manage stamina. It feels weighty and satisfying. The RPG elements add depth without overwhelming the core experience. But Bayek himself is the real star. He's driven by grief and revenge, but he's also kind, funny, and deeply human. The story of how personal tragedy led to the creation of a brotherhood that would span millennia is compelling from start to finish. If you bounced off Assassin's Creed before, this is the one that might bring you back. Uncharted 2 is the game that proved video games could deliver summer blockbuster experiences that rival movies. Nathan Drake's second adventure is paced perfectly from start to finish. You're hunting for the Sintamani Stone and the lost city of Shambhala, but really, you're here for the set pieces. The train sequence that opens the game and keeps coming back is iconic. The convoy chase in Nepal is also incredible. Naughty Dog nailed the balance between exploration, puzzle solving, and third-person shooting. The platforming feels great even if it's mostly just jumping where the game tells you to. The gunfights are punchy and satisfying, but it's the characters that make this special. Nathan Drake is charming and flawed. His relationship with Elena and his history with Chloe add real stakes. The banter during gameplay never feels forced. And the villain, Lazarevic, is genuinely threatening. This is a very relaxing, feel-good game. It's an adventure that makes you feel like Indiana Jones, and sometimes that's exactly what you need. Outer Wilds is a game I desperately want to talk about, but can't without ruining it. So I'll be careful. You're an alien astronaut exploring a small solar system. You have 22 minutes before the sun goes supernova and everything resets. It's a time loop, but not like other games. The world changes naturally during each loop, but nothing you discover or learn is lost. only your knowledge carries forward. This is a pure exploration game. You have a spaceship, a handful of tools, and a solar system full of mysteries, ancient ruins, quantum phenomena, a crumbling planet, strange signals from the edge of the system. Everything is connected, and figuring out how is the entire point. There's no combat, no real fail states except curiosity leading you somewhere dangerous. The game is about discovery and knowledge. When you finally piece together what's happening and why, it's one of the most profound moments in gaming. This is a game you can only truly experience once. Don't look up guides, don't watch videos, just play it and enjoy. If you've come this far in the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. It's a huge motivation for me to keep creating more amazing and high quality content just like this. Your support helps me keep going and brings fresh ideas to life. So subscribing is not just a click, it's encouragement for more awesome videos. Thank you for being here and for supporting the channel. Next we have BioShock Infinite, a game that mixes fast shooting and supernatural powers in a really smooth way. The combat here is much more aggressive and mobility focused than the original BioShock with skyline rails that you can latch onto and ride at high speed, zipping around the battlefield and dropping down for devastating attacks. Weapon variety is great, and you're constantly finding better gear and deciding what to carry into fights. Elizabeth is integrated into gameplay brilliantly as a companion who can't die and actively helps you in combat. She tosses you health, salts for vigor, energy, and ammo during fights, and she can use her dimensional powers to open tiers that bring in cover, turrets, freight hooks for mobility, or environmental hazards. And when it comes to the story, the ending will seriously mess with your head. It's the kind of ending that makes you sit there for a minute trying to process what just happened. I won't spoil anything, but just know that this game isn't afraid to get strange. The remake of the original Last of Us brought this masterpiece to modern hardware, and if you somehow haven't played it, now's the time. Joel and Ellie's journey across a fungal apocalypse America is gaming's best example of environmental storytelling and character development. You watch their relationship evolve from strangers to something like father and daughter, and it feels completely earned. The performances from Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson are incredible, and Gustavo Santaolall's music adds this haunting emotional layer to everything you see and feel. The gameplay keeps you on edge the whole time. You never have enough resources, every enemy feels like a real threat, and even a small mistake can cost you. But that constant tension makes the quiet moments feel even more powerful. And the ending, people still argue about it, but that's exactly why it works. It's messy, emotional, and brutally human. This isn't a story about saving the whole world, it's about what someone is willing to do for the person they care about most. If you've missed this masterpiece until now, this remake is the perfect way to jump in. I get it, the launch was messy, but if you haven't touched Cyberpunk since all the updates and the Phantom Liberty expansion, you're seriously missing out. CD Projekt Red really turned things around. Night City feels alive in a way very few games can pull off. Every district has its own vibe, its own problems, its own culture. Corpo Plaza hits completely differently from Pacifica, and Watson has its own rough charm. It's a world that feels lived in, not just designed. The main story hits hard, especially when you start getting invested in your connection with Johnny Silverhand. Keanu Reeves brings so much personality to that character. But where the game truly shines is in the side quests. Stuff like the Sinnerman mission or Judy's entire questline dives into themes most games don't even try to touch. It's not a perfect game, but it's ambitious, it's bold, and it does things almost no other game even attempts. And also, if you haven't watched the Cyberpunk anime yet, definitely check it out, it adds even more depth to the world. Sekiro is From Software at its absolute peak when it comes to pure combat design, and this is easily the most mechanically demanding game on this list. Unlike Dark Souls, where you can level up and use different builds, Sekiro forces you to master one specific combat system that's all about rhythm, aggression, and posture breaking. The core mechanic revolves around deflecting attacks at the perfect moment, and when you nail that timing, you hear this satisfying clang and sparks fly as you stop the enemy's offense. Every enemy and boss has a posture meter, and filling it up opens them for a death blow, which is an instant kill or massive damage to bosses. The genius of this system is that it rewards staying aggressive rather than playing passively, because posture regenerates more slowly when you're applying pressure. There's no easy mode, no summoning, no over-leveling your way out of trouble. You have to learn the rhythm of the fight, the back and forth, the trading of steel, and execute it with precision. And the posture system isn't just for enemies. If you panic dodge or play too safe, your posture snaps and you're wide open for a killing blow. The game forces you to engage, to commit, and when it finally clicks, it feels incredible. Ghost of Tsushima is Sucker Punch's love letter to samurai films, and the gameplay perfectly captures that fantasy of being a master swordsman. This game is gorgeous. The wind blows through grass fields, leaves scatter as you ride, and the lighting during Golden Hour is breathtaking. Instead of a mini-map, the wind guides you to objectives. It's such a simple but elegant design choice that keeps you immersed. The combat is all about precision and timing. Standoffs let you channel your inner samurai facing enemies in tense duels. But as the story progresses, Jin has to embrace tactics the samurai code considers dishonorable. The internal conflict between honor and effectiveness is the heart of the story. The side content is genuinely great too, following little foxes to hidden shrines, making haiku in peaceful spots, taking back villages, and slicing through bamboo challenges that test your reflexes. They all add to the world instead of feeling like filler. If you love samurai culture or just want to explore one of the most beautiful open worlds ever made, don't sleep on this. Mass Effect Legendary Edition gives you all 3 games in the original trilogy with updated graphics and gameplay improvements, and the RPG systems here are what make the experience so memorable. This is one of the greatest sci-fi stories in any medium, not just games. You're basically trying to save the galaxy from an ancient alien threat called the Reapers. BioWare created an entire universe with different alien races, political tensions, histories, and cultures. Your choices carry across all 3 games. Someone you save in the first game might show up as a crucial ally in the third. Romances develop over dozens of hours. Characters die permanently if you mess up. The weight of your decisions actually matters. The combat improves with each game, but honestly, you're not playing Mass Effect for the shooting. You're playing for Garrus, Tali, Liara, Mordin, and all the other characters you grow to love. You're playing to see how your version of Shepard's story ends. I finished this trilogy 4 times, and I still get emotional during certain scenes. The 2018 God of War reboot is a perfect example of how to reinvent a franchise. Kratos is older now, living in the Norse realms with his son Atreus. The game is about fatherhood, grief, and breaking cycles of violence. The entire game is one continuous shot. No loading screens between gameplay and cutscenes. It creates this intimate, unbroken experience that pulls you deeper into Kratos and Atreus' journey. The combat is heavy and satisfying. The Leviathan axe might be one of the best video game weapons ever. Throwing it and calling it back never gets old. The enemy variety is solid, mixing Norse mythology creatures with creative boss fights. But it's the relationship between father and son that makes this game stick with you. Kratos is trying to be a better father than his own father was, but he doesn't know how. Watching that relationship evolve throughout the game is genuinely touching. Add in Christopher Judge's incredible performance as Kratos, and you've got something truly special. Next, we have Elden Ring. From Software basically took everything they perfected in Dark Souls and Bloodborne and dropped it into a huge open world, and the result feels incredible. The combat still has that classic, careful style where every swing, dodge, and block actually matters. You can't just mash buttons, you have to think about timing, distance, and stamina, or the game will punish you in seconds. And the bosses are on a different level. Fights like Margit, Radahn, and Melania will push you harder than you expect, but finally beating them is one of the best feelings gaming can give you. It's that perfect mix of frustration, learning, and pure satisfaction when things finally click. Even if you've always avoided Souls games, Elden Ring is surprisingly welcoming. You can explore at your own pace, level up the way you want, and take on tough fights only when you feel ready. It's challenging, sure, but it never forces you down one strict path. You're free to find your own way, and that's what makes the whole experience so special. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that brings the tabletop Dungeons & Dragons experience to life with a level of mechanical depth that's honestly intimidating at first, but incredibly rewarding once it clicks. This is a turn-based tactical RPG where every single action follows Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules, meaning you're rolling dice for everything from persuasion checks to attack rolls. What really blew me away is just how much freedom the game gives you. Almost every situation has multiple solutions. You can talk your way through problems, go in sword swinging, use the environment to your advantage, or even do something completely chaotic if you feel like being a menace. And the wild thing is the game reacts to all of it. Nothing feels scripted, it genuinely feels like your choices matter. The combat might look complicated when you first start, especially if you've never touched a CRPG before. But once you get the hang of the Dungeons & Dragons style rules, it turns into this satisfying tactical puzzle where every turn feels meaningful. I've sunk over 100 hours into this game and I'm still discovering new things. That's when you know you're playing something truly special. The Witcher 3 is one of those games that redefined what an open-world RPG could be, and the gameplay systems here work together in ways that most games can only dream of. The combat itself is rhythmic and timing-based, requiring you to dodge, parry, and use light or heavy attacks depending on the enemy type. The signs add tactical depth, letting you shield yourself, blast enemies with fire, control mines, set traps, or create protective barriers. The world is absolutely packed with things to discover, from bandit camps and monster nests to hidden treasure, and places of power that give you skill points. Gwent, the in-game card game, is so well designed that people were begging for a standalone version, and hunting down rare cards becomes its own addictive side quest. The game respects your time too, with a fast travel system and a horse that can follow roads automatically while you enjoy the scenery. And the Blood and Wine DLC alone is better than most full games. If you love deep RPGs with complex characters and tough moral choices, this is non-negotiable. And finally, we end this list with Red Dead 2. This game is a masterclass in world building. Rockstar built an entire living, breathing version of the American frontier that's so detailed it borders on obsessive. The gameplay here is all about immersion and realism in ways most open-world games never attempt. Every action has weight and consequence, from the way you maintain your weapons to how you interact with NPCs in towns. The shooting mechanics are deliberately methodical, using a cover system that forces you to be tactical rather than running and guns blazing. Arthur Morgan's journey from outlaw to something more is genuinely moving. Yeah, the controls can feel a bit slow and deliberate. Some people don't vibe with that, but once you settle into the rhythm, you realize it's intentional. This game wants you to slow down and exist in its world. The ending hit me harder than I expected. I'm not spoiling anything, but if you still haven't played this game, now is honestly the perfect time to jump in. And that's a wrap on these 21 games you must play at least once in your life. If you've already played any of these, you know exactly what I mean. And if not, now's the perfect time to dive in and experience them for yourself. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, share with your friends who love games, and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of my future gaming guides and recommendations. And I want to hear from you, what's the one game on this list you've been meaning to play but haven't yet? Drop it in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, happy gaming.